Welcome to a short Guild Wars 3 lore series where we are highlighting each of the human gods that will be present within the game, alongside an additional bonus entity that I really want to speculate about. Today we're going to go over the most important details related to Dwayna. Dwayna is the goddess of healing, life, and air, and is the leader of the human gods. While we haven't experienced too much of her in recent years, she has a lot of history dating back to the human gods first stepping foot on Tyria, which out of all the human gods, she was the first to arrive from the mists, and is the one who brought humanity here with her. Just like the other gods, she was drawn to the magic of Or, but did take humanity elsewhere at first, leading to the colonization of Cantha, before humanity then spread out throughout the world, including to Or. Dwayna, out of all the human gods, maybe felt the most connected to humanity from a compassionate point of view, and her story is deeply connected to that of another character who we should assume will be playing a part in Guild Wars 3, King Doric. In the year 115 before Exodus, a devastating war was happening on Tyria, and Doric approached Dwayna, and Dwayna urged for Doric and all others to lay down their arms, stop their conflicts amongst themselves, and offer protection to the weak. In the aftermath, Doric was later crowned King of the Republic of Ascalon in 100 before Exodus, and became one of the most important rulers humanity will have ever seen. King Doric oversaw the expansion of humanity into Ascalon and their conquest of the Char alongside the beginnings of Krita. Doric was devout to the gods and embraced the study of magic. It wasn't until 1 before Exodus where the god Abaddon used the Bloodstone to grant some magic to some of the races of Tyria that war broke out, causing devastation to the land and people. Seeing his people suffer and his lands fall, King Doric trekked to Ara and was the one who pleaded to Dwayna and the other human gods to divide the magic of the Bloodstone, to which all but Abaddon agreed, which led to the gods' conflicts amongst themselves and the aftermath that would follow. The gods sundered the Bloodstone into smaller shards and sealed them with King Doric's blood, leading to the idea that this is when Doric died, sacrificing himself for his people, with Doric's bloodline continuing to serve to lead humanity, eventually being divided amongst Ascalon, Krita, and Or. But Doric is not the only human with a deep connection to Dwayna. Malcor was one of the greatest Orient artists who was commissioned by Dwayna herself to carve statues of the human gods, allowing the average person to be able to gaze upon their beauty. Through this process, while Malcor created some of the most important pieces of art in the history of Tyria, he had fallen in love with Dwayna. But through this process, since he had to gaze upon the human gods who blinded those who looked at them with their radiance, he eventually became fully blind. Knowing that he would never be able to lay his eyes upon the beauty of Dwayna again, he threw himself from a high spire in Or, in an area now known as Malcor's Leap. But, once again, Doric and Malcor are not the only humans with a deep connection to Dwayna, and, strangely enough, Malcor wasn't the only sculptor. While Malcor yearned for Dwayna, another unnamed mortal sculptor fathered a child with Dwayna, where Dwayna gave birth to a half-god named Grinth, who would eventually ascend to godhood and join his mother in the pantheon of the gods. Dwayna is also very unique in that she is connected to a conflict that is still going on to this day. Winter's Day is a festival that celebrates the end of the season of the Colossus, the beginning of the season of the Zephyr, and the end of the Tyrian New Year, but this is determined through an outcome of a battle between two of the human gods, Dwayna and her own son Grinth. As snow blankets Tyria, snowmen, also known as burrows, in service of Dwayna, and Grinches, servants of Grinth, appear throughout the world. To this day, while we don't see too many Grinches, we still see the snowmen acting as servants of Dwayna and can even help them out. A point about Dwayna that has long been a piece of speculation is her connection to the Harpies. Dwayna is often viewed as an incredibly beautiful figure and is iconic because of her angelic wings. A race of creatures that have similar wings, albeit arguably less beautiful, are the Harpies of Zelana. One major theory is the Harpies are the remnants of former servants of Dwayna alongside the snowmen who appeared during Winter's Day, where with the passage of time and the absence of the gods, Harpies have been cast down from their duties to Dwayna and are now Harpies. Another theory is that Harpies have existed for a very long time and as Dwayna and the human gods appeared on Tyria, Dwayna chose the harpies and selected some to ascend them to become her holy guards. A final thing that I want to talk about is the Forgotten. The Forgotten are winged creatures, much like the harpies and Dwayna, who are devout followers of the human gods, but much of their early history is truly unknown. They are believed to have originated from outside of Tyria, where some people believe the human gods themselves brought them to Tyria in the year 1769 after Exodus to be custodians of the planet for the gods and humanity's eventual entry. But given the fact that they have existed on Tyria for at least 11,000 years, that is not entirely the case. But still, some believe that maybe the Forgotten's original homeworld is the same homeworld of the human gods and humanity's. Where the Forgotten came from, and more importantly, why Dwayna brought herself, the other human gods, and humanity to Tyria, are some questions that I hope we get answers to in Guild Wars 3. And that's the video. I hope you enjoyed. Dwayna is definitely a pretty interesting character with a lot of little things going on that I personally find very interesting, and I hope you did as well. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so because it helps me out a lot. I hope you all are taking great care of yourselves. Have a good one, everyone.